Hello there, well I'm back after a longer break and I've been receiving some help from some plants, which is always very helpful and insightful. And it actually took me to my greatest fear, which I'm going to talk about now. So if you ever read the book 1984 that George Orwell wrote, there's a particular scene in there where the guy gets to go into room 101 and he gets exposed to his greatest fear. And Winston, the character in the book, his greatest fear is rats, and so he finds himself in a room full of rats. So I'm going to talk about what my greatest fear is, and my greatest fear is of people being amputated. And whilst I was communing with the plants, I realised that this is something I witnessed as a child. So that's a pretty disturbing revelation to have got today. And the way this has worked for me is to do with horror films. So I'm now going to go into horror films and horror in general, what it's all about. So if there's a horror film showing and people go to the cinema or watch it on the TV or whatever, what happens is they are witnessing horrific scenes. So the last time I was able to watch a horror film was in my early 20s, and it was so horrific I've not been able to watch one since, because I got so badly triggered, as you can imagine. So recently I was on Netflix and I saw a particular film, and I'm going to put up the photograph. There it is. So I was watching this TV show, and in the very first episode there's this young girl, and she's actually been tied down, and someone is starting to amputate one of her limbs. So that was so horrific I had obviously stopped. So let's get into the detail about horror and horror films. So if you or people you know are watching a horror film, this is what I want you to know is going on. Someone is being fed. Yeah, it's a bit disturbing, because you see there are some people and there are beings that feed from this. So to give you an example, supposing we think about the person who tortures someone, what they're doing, or rapes someone, or any of these things, what they're doing is they're inflicting pain on another person. What they don't realise is they've got negative energies, which some people call entities, other people might call them demons. Now these negative energies, at the time of the watching of the horror, they're being fed. So a person who tortures someone, that negative energy is being fed. So imagine you going into a cinema and there's a horror film that's showing. What you've got is maybe hundreds of people in the cinema, and they're all watching horrific things. What those people don't realise is that when that's going on, negative energies from round and about have come and they've congregated in that space. And they're saying, hey dudes, it's feeding time, come on, let's get with it. So this is part of the experience of being a human being, is to realise that there are people that feed from the pain of others, and that not only are there people like the torturers of this world and the rapists, but also even people watching a horror film, they are being used as a conduit, and the horror they experience is being fed off by these negative energies. So that's the reason why they exist. And I guess for me, the series of films that I will never watch are called Saw 1, Saw 2, I think there's a Saw 3. Well, those are examples of like my ultimate pain trigger, if you will. So what I want to do now is to change the subject yet again and talk about, okay Keith, so this is your reality. You experience these things as a child, and they were horrific and they affect you in your everyday life, such as when you get triggered. So here's the thing. When I'm not in a relationship, it's very easy for me. All I do is I just avoid situations where people are likely to become angry. I've become incredibly skilled at this over the years, and that means I'm much less likely to be triggered. So what I want to do is to explain what happens when I get triggered, or if I'm feeling unsafe and in danger of being triggered. What I do is I withdraw, and one of the easiest ways for me to do this is to withdraw into either overwork, which I'm very good at doing, or entertainment. And the entertainment I go into is I go into stories. So here's an example. I'm reading this book at the moment. It's called Us. It's written by a guy called David Nichols, and I'm getting great benefit from reading this book. Now here's the thing. If I'm in a relationship with someone, the option of avoiding anger no longer exists. So I can tell you this. Anyone who's ever been in an intimate relationship with me will know that there will be times I will make them angry. And I have a feeling that one of the things that makes other people angry is when I withdraw, which is a bit ironic, because it's when someone gets angry, that's going to precipitate me into more of a triggered state. So this is how I cope. These are my coping mechanisms in life. So if I'm triggered or I'm feeling in danger of being triggered, I withdraw into stories and books and TV shows and films. They're like life to me. They are so helpful. And by immersing myself in someone else's story, so long as the story is not horrific, then I'm completely safe. So I've developed lots of coping strategies, and really, usually I'm incredibly skilled at avoiding anything horrific. There's that one example, that thing on Netflix where I went badly wrong. And I adapted to that by choosing what I thought would be a TV show which was totally safe, which is actually all about kids at high school, and it was safe, it was cool. We've got yet another interruption now, excuse me.